Okay, this is me just walking through the Alaskan wilderness, pushing things over. As a kid, growing up in Alaska in the 1970s, I used to go hiking a lot. Um, just move things out of the way if they were in the way. You wouldn't think I was that strong as a 7-year-old, but I really was. As this video proves, when you grow up in Alaska, you just are tougher than other people. Okay, so anyway, this video is actually about moose hunting in Alaska. When I lived there, we hunted moose every year. There's me, the blonde boy there, in the to the left, sitting down. That's my sister there in the center. We pan out from this to get a little view of the Alaskan landscape. Uh, Now we're gonna pan over to the left and get a view of the Army surplus tank that we bought so that my dad and his friend bought that so we could go hunting in Alaska. It's my dad's friend Bob. Yo, Bob. So anyway, this Army surplus tank, you need four-wheel drives don't really work on the Tundra. Normal pickup trucks, Jeeps, things like that won't work. So to go hunting in Alaska, you kind of need a track vehicle. So thus we had the Army tank, and we would just climb on top of it and take it through the wilderness to go hunting. Now, this camp here is, I would assume it's about 75 miles north of Fairbanks off of the Steese Highway or maybe the Chena Hot Springs Highway. I can't really remember, but this is our camp, our moose hunting camp. That's me in the red trousers. That's my sister front and center. We just seem so young. This video was shot probably in the mid 1970s when we were just really small kids. Again, that's me, the blonde boy in the center with the red pants, rugged outdoorsman that I was back then. There I am. That was a good shot. My buck knife, my canteen. It was like you couldn't cast a more rugged young man for the wilderness. So anyway, now we're going to jump to some scenes of us riding on the Army tank track vehicle through the Alaskan wilderness as we go in search of moose. You'll see that typically this vehicle could fit 4 or 5 people up front. It had a back area that we would store all our camping equipment and moose that we shot, and then we would just ride on top of it. And as you can see, me there at the very back left-hand corner on top with my hair as bright as the northern star, or at least the star on the tank. So this was pretty interesting. I'm not a hunter now. I'm not interested in hunting at all. However, as a kid going on these hunting trips in Alaska, I mean, it was just a magical time. It was just filled me with a sense of wonder and adventure, and I wouldn't go hunting. I live in Utah now, and hunting and camping in Utah seems just kind of dull and bland to me after growing up in Alaska and having these adventures. There I am again on the back of the truck with my hair beaming. So in Alaska, hunting is just a part of life, and like I said, in Utah, there's hunters and stuff, and it's a lot different than it was in Alaska. Alaska seemed like much more of an adventure, much more remote, much more dangerous. If someone was to invite me to go hunting in Utah, I'd probably turn them down. If anyone was to invite me to go hunting again in Alaska, I'd probably take them up on it in a heartbeat, just because of the fond memories I had before. Now, this track vehicle tank that we had, it would pretty much go anywhere. It would take us through rivers. It would take us on trails. It was pretty versatile and where it could get us in the Alaskan wilderness. I mean, we really relied on it for our means of transportation, our for everything, our food, our camping equipment. Without it, we would just have been, hiking or who knows what. I mean, the Alaska wilderness is so rugged, you just can't venture off into it without, virtually an army tank to back you up. Um, and we would follow the roads mostly. I remember this spot in the creek specifically because it had a road that dumped us into the creek and then another road that picked up right here. And it's almost like this was, even though this video was shot 30 or 40 years ago, it almost seems like yesterday that I just remember all of these trails and roads that we used to take in Alaska. And this vehicle it would go anywhere. We would just take it wherever. It was probably the coolest thing to be a part of as a little kid growing up. You just were never worried. Even in the snow, look at that. Even in the snow, we took it in the snow. We would use it to haul things, to pull snowmobile trailers, to get other vehicles unstuck. I remember we would be out and about and we would see people stuck in the snow and we could just pull them right out with this thing. So I'm going to let this video play a little bit longer, maybe for a minute more as we watch this thing go through the snow. But if anybody grew up in the Alaska in the 70s or 80s, man, this would just be typical everyday life. You would see these things everywhere. Anytime we went out to the wilderness, we would rarely run into people, but if we did run into them, they would always be in something similar. Just because that's the way it was. I don't know how people go. I don't know if the law allows them to drive a army tank through the wilderness nowadays. I imagine not, but back things were a little more different. I just wanted to document this for my YouTube channel because it was a huge, huge part of my childhood, riding around on this thing. Something I'll never forget, and I just wanted to make sure it was on my YouTube channel so I would never forget it.